Hi, and welcome to my little piece of the internet. My name is Katerina, and in exactly 1 month from now, I'll be having weight loss surgery. If you stumbled across this video, it's probably because you're interested in weight loss surgery or you've recently had it. We're going to become the bestest of friends as I record and share my journey with you. So if you're interested in weight loss surgery and you want to follow my journey and perhaps even encourage me, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And if you find any value from my content, please don't forget to like. Thank you. I'll be sharing my most vulnerable secrets and experiences with you in the hopes of keeping me accountable and perhaps provide you a realistic insight into this process. So, who am I? My name is Katerina, but since we're best friends now, you can call me Kat. I'm a 44-year-old mother of 2 boys, and I currently live in the capital of Canada, Ottawa. I'm originally from Montreal, Quebec, so if you hear a little bit of a French accent, now you know why. And since we're getting to know each other, I'm a huge fan of Greek mythology. I adore coffee, and my favorite color is blue. So, why did I decide to have weight loss surgery? This is really difficult to talk about. I honestly wish I could just give you a link into my brain just to show you the years of just pain and suffering and guilt and negative self-talk and everything that came with being overweight. So I don't know how to answer this, but ultimately the reason why I'm going to have weight loss surgery is so I could be around for my boys. I want to be healthy, I want to feel good, I want to be able to do things with them and have the energy that they have so I could keep along. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my health history. I've been overweight all my life. I've gone up and down, and I've always been aware that I was the biggest person in the room. From a young age. I mean, by the time I was 3 years old, I was double the size of my friends. By the time I was 14 years old, I was already 200 pounds at 5'8". I remember going to my yearly physical, and you know how they weigh you? Well, they weighed me and they thought that the scale was broken. So the nurse called another nurse to make sure that the scale wasn't broken. And this all happened in the middle of the waiting room because that's where they decided to keep the scale. I was so embarrassed, I wanted to die. By the time I was in high school, I developed an eating disorder. I started to binge. I had no control over my eating habits. I would eat until I was sick, and then I would have guilt and shame, and it became just a vicious circle. I tried to keep a handle on my weight. And then I guess because I have an addictive personality, I would compensate by exercising, over exercising. And so I was going up and down in my weight. And by the time I did finish high school, I was at 174. I had lost some weight. And then I went to see my doctor for the yearly physical again, and he was upset and he told me I should be 140 by then. So then I became obsessed with that number. By the time I was 21, my thyroid became overactive and I started to drop a lot of weight very quickly. And I didn't know how to handle that. This was the first time in my life that I was thin. And I didn't know how to handle the attention from other people. I didn't realize that people treat you differently when you look a certain way. And so I tried to navigate that for a little while. And then I started to shake uncontrollably. I started to shake a lot. I would get heart palpitations, brain fog, my hair would start to fall off. So I went and I had radiation therapy. for my thyroid. And that gave me the exact opposite effect. My thyroid became underactive and I put on a lot of weight and I became extremely tired all the time. It took about 5 years to find the proper medication to control my thyroid and to balance my hormones. To top it all off, by the time I was 27, I had a stroke. That's when my world completely stopped. I was forced to stop and really take a look at my life, really take a look at the way that I was living my life. I realized then that I have a compulsive nature. I have an addictive personality. I binge on more than food. I had a lot of therapy. I had developed aphasia. I had a problem speaking and writing. Couldn't say my name, couldn't even spell it. And so I went through months and months of therapy, and by the grace of God, I'm fine now. However, that really changed my life. The stroke really was a big wake-up call. And so I changed many things about myself. I took the time to look inwards and balance my life better and made major changes to my life. But I was never able to tackle my food addiction. So I got better and life moved on. And by the time I was 33, I had my first son. By then, I weighed 250 pounds and I was 5'10". I gained another 25 pounds during my pregnancy. So at that weight, I developed gestational diabetes. I was put on medication and then I was put on insulin. And by the time I gave birth to my son, I was permanently on medication. I had developed type 2 diabetes. I attended a gym. I paid for a private trainer. I attended monthly classes to control my diabetes, where I learned how to eat properly, how to exercise, how to manage my stress. And over that whole period, I ended up gaining more and more weight. I yo-yoed up and down and finally stabilized at about 280 pounds. I was that weight for a long time. I felt unhappy. I felt disappointed in myself. I felt guilty for not being able to manage my binging. I felt guilty for not being able to stick to a diet. And I felt extremely lethargic. I lacked the energy to keep up with my little boy. So over the years of yo-yoing up and down, my weight also affected my menstrual cycle. I would go months without having a period, and then when I would get it, it would last 2 to 3 weeks sometimes. Then I was diagnosed with endometriosis, heavy bleeding. So going back to my health conditions, gestational diabetes, type 2 diabetes, stroke, endometriosis, severe migraines. I was well into my 30s by then. As I was approaching my 40s, however, I decided to start making major changes. Change my diet, change my physical activities, and really focus on honing in on the practice of being intentional. And that's when I became pregnant at 40 years old with my second son. I was not in a good place. So immediately my doctor put me off of work and put me as a high-risk pregnancy. I had to go to the hospital on a weekly basis to get my blood pressure and sugar levels checked. By the time my pregnancy was in its 7th month, I was already taking 400 units of insulin per day. I gained another 96 pounds in that pregnancy. When I gave birth, I weighed 356 pounds. That number is just saying that number right now, I don't know how I did that to myself, and I don't know how I managed to survive it and how my son and I are here today. He was born with hypoglycemia. He was so used to receiving that high dose of insulin that his sugar was extremely low when he was born. My blood pressure was 167/80, and my resting heart rate was at 97. I don't know how I survived that pregnancy. I feel so guilty for putting myself and my son through this. So guilty for not being able to control my food addiction. Both my sons were born at 36 weeks instead of 40. And both of my pregnancies were high-risk pregnancies. And I take full responsibility for that. I promise myself that I will do better for myself and for my boys. Well, we moved from Montreal to Ottawa in October 2020. I quit my corporate job. I found a new doctor, and I'm focusing on my mental and physical health. I meditate daily, and I try to ground myself in nature. I realized that I failed to tackle my food addiction on my own, so I sought out help. With my doctor, we decided that the best course of action right now would be weight loss surgery. And this is something that I thought about for a long time. I tried to tackle my weight throughout my whole life, particularly after my first son was born. And I failed miserably. And so now I'm taking this drastic measure to ensure that I'm healthy, to ensure that I can live long enough to see my children grow up, to ensure that I can lose the weight permanently. And I realize that this is not something as a miracle cure. This is not the easy way out. I researched it for many years before taking this final decision. And I understand that it's just a tool. This is just a tool that will help me get to where I want to be. It's not going to make it happen magically. I have to be a willing participant, and I have to really work on my mental health. Am I the only one that drinks soup in a cup? Do you do that too? Let me know in the comments. And if you're wondering what I'm cooking, that was lentil soup. I do it Greek style. It's the most yummiest thing in the world. I'm addicted to it. So if you're interested, I'll leave the recipe in the comments. All right, let's go back to what we're talking about. In April 2021, I started the process of bariatric surgery. I followed the mandatory courses. I went to all my appointments. I participated in behavioral therapy, and I was finally approved for surgery on June 22nd of this year. I am scheduled for Roux-en-Y gastric bypass surgery on December 22nd, 2022. I chose the Roux-en-Y surgery, and I'll do a future video to explain to you the difference between the different types of surgery that you may have and why I chose that one. So please follow along, click the notification bell to make sure that you get notified as soon as I put up that video. I'm excited, scared, and anxious all at once. I have no shame admitting that I need help, that I'm dealing with a food addiction, and that I haven't managed my binging. I'm a work in progress and a lifelong learner, and that's why I call this channel This to That Life. Because no matter where you want to go, no matter what goals you want to achieve, you have to start from somewhere, right? And so I'm going to share this journey to keep myself accountable, to also show what it's like to be part of the weight loss community, gastric bypass, weight loss surgery, the ins and outs, with no holds bar. I will share the good, the bad, the ugly, so that those who are suffering don't have to suffer alone. They can know that there's somebody else who has been through it, who can relate. And at the same time, always keep myself accountable for it. If you stuck this long through this video, thank you. I truly appreciate the support. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you found any type of value or any entertainment. And to tell me that I'm not talking by myself, leave a comment down below. Let me know that I'm not just sitting here in my living room talking by myself. Let me know what your experiences are. Have you been through it? Are you pre-op, post-op? Do you have any words of advice for me? Yeah, I look forward to reading your comments. I'm going to be making weekly videos. I have 100 ideas of what I can make regarding this process. The next video coming up is going to be my weigh-in. I'm already like panicking about it. My anxiety level is peaked right now. So yeah, we'll do full body measurements and I'll reveal my current weight right now. So stick around. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope to see you again. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it.